Ahead of UFC Bellator 287, I'm joined by Andrew Fisher. Getting myself a little bit mixed up. Just a couple of weeks away from that bout in what can bring you into the top 15. How are you feeling for that fight, buddy?
Yeah, it's top 10. He's not going to be 8, so I'm feeling good for this. This is what I'm really excited about, actually. I've wanted to kind of have some of the top 10 for my last couple, but hasn't happened, so I've just been keep slugging away, and I knew it would eventually happen.
Yeah, and as well, we're getting this opponent. He's ranked number 8. Really, with a win here, it puts you maybe 2-3 fights away from those extremely top-level guys, maybe even a title shot. So to be just that little few fights away, what is that like for you, or are you just focused on the challenge that's ahead?
So obviously, you're definitely right what you're saying. Like, you could, a couple of wins is a bit good fortune, you know, and you could end up fighting for that title, but all that is irrelevant until I beat like Justin Gonzalez, really, because if I don't beat him, then none of that happens anyway. So, and like this fight's the same as every other fight. I'm pretty much always the underdog, and I'm always feel like I'm the guy that's being used to try and build their guys up, and that's completely fine. I'm just going to try and upset everybody again.
Yeah, and obviously being that underdog, you are commonly getting the upset victories as well in Bellator. So do you sort of enjoy having the little underdog title going into these fights of where people might be overlooking you a little bit, but you just keep going in there and getting the upsets anyway?
So I've lost my voice a little bit. So can you hear us okay though? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all fine, buddy.
Yeah. So as regards to being the underdog, it's just because like I'm not naturally one of these gifted people. I didn't do any sports as a kid or anything. I've never ever really had a coach. I've had like some boxing coaches, you know, and like different things every now and again. And I've had a lot of people who's helped us, you know. So, but when I kind of started in the northeast of England, there's not many people really. So the guys who I used to train with were now like the first generation of coaches, really, to be honest. So it was very, very difficult to find coaching. So I also just made loads of mistakes and kind of got better that way. So like I've got like 8 losses on my record, and that's maybe why people overlook us a bit and kind of think like, you know, well, he's not going to go anywhere, because usually you don't really get in sports, you don't really get people losing that many times at like a high level, and still kind of before they get to like the high level, you kind of still do all right, you know. So I feel maybe my record is a bit why I'm always the underdog, but like since I had me kind of breakthrough, I've always been like I've fought good guys all the time. Even the guys who beat us, they've been really, really good guys. Do you know what I mean? And I've always been a good account myself. So this underdog thing, it doesn't really bother me one little bit at all. It kind of gives a bit more fire, you know. Maybe if I'm the favourite, maybe the fight might go. I'm not too sure.
100%. And then just to talk on TFT a little bit, your own gym, obviously, they're jumping from success to success at the moment. Mick Parkin, obviously, he's just got inside of the UFC, and there's a lot of other pros that are coming through now that could reach the UFC as well. So far, the progression of the gym this year, it seems like it's been leaps and bounds. What would you say the gym progress has been like this year?
Oh, it's been amazing. You know, like there's like I feel we work really hard, and I feel we work really intelligent as well, and I feel we're all getting better. I feel a lot of times people just say like they pick some random saying like, oh, 1% better every day, or like iron sharpens iron, blah blah blah, but they're not kind of really understanding how to actually get better. And like we are actually getting better and we're improving all the time. So you need that, and also like a little bit of good fortune and kind of being in the right place at the right time. And I feel I've kind of got that with Mick. Now Mick fought a good guy as well, and he won. And I feel this is just going to kind of like spiral from there now. I still feel we're a couple of years away, getting a few more names in there. I feel me next top runners, if you will, the obviously they're so good, but I feel they're just kind of picking up that valuable experience now from making mistakes and from winning as well, you know. And then I feel like it's, a year or two, we'll have a couple more on the big shows.
100%. And then as well, I've spoken to quite a few of the TFT fighters over the last couple of days. And one of the main things that every fighter seems to mention is the technical aspect of MMA, and where they always see an advantage for themselves. Would you say that being the technical fighters, that's something that you quite like to get across to them? during the training?
So obviously, I don't feel there's any what's the word? There's no excuse not to have good technique. You know, like a lot of guys, they're just fighting and they're just flipping a coin. You know, like they might be athletic, they might be heavy punches or whatever, and they're kind of relying on that. They're just going in there and they might win. They might win 10 fights, but then they might lose that one. Because they're just flicking a coin every time, you know. I want to try to eliminate that. I want every single exchange on the feet, every single wrestling exchange, every single grappling exchange. I want us as a gym to have an answer for every single possible thing that somebody can do. And I feel you only do that by like breaking all this down into like little bite-sized sections in the class. Some of the lessons will pick maybe a really obscure position that actually like you don't even realize happens a lot of, but it happens more than you think, and we'll play from that, and we'll have a discussion and we'll talk about it, and everybody kind of have their little points of view on it, and hopefully by the time it gets to fight night, there's no surprise anymore, you know. And like if you do get hit with a shot, like you're well aware of why you got hit with that shot and how to not let that happen again in that same round or same fight, you know. So I'm trying to just educate myself and educate other people about how to be able to deal with that in the actual moment as well, and when you're under a lot of stress of a fight.
100%. And not only have you got obviously the success of TFT, there's a success of Rise and Conquer as well at the moment, which it's becoming a very reputable promotion in the north of England especially. So when you're looking at obviously Rise and Conquer as well as a promotion, what would you say the progression for that's been like as well as just TFT?
It's just trying to find a platform for the guys to fight on locally, really. It is a bit of a ball ache trying to get people matched because we're only trying to put on like 50-50 fights really a lot of the time. And now, like for pros, that's so hard to do, you know. I understand everyone's trying to get somewhere as well. But it is quite difficult. So sometimes that's not always possible really with the pros. But with the amateurs, I don't really see why people shouldn't just take a 50-50 fight, you know, like it similar records, similar time of training, let's go for it, you know. But it is getting a lot more difficult at the minute to try and match, and I'm sure a lot of promoters have kind of find the same problem as me.
Yeah, and then just to get back to your fight a little bit, obviously you spoke a little bit about in terms of going in there as the underdog, but going into this fight, taking a look at your opponent, where do you see the advantages lying for yourself going into that fight?
I don't feel like the underdog. I feel really confident, you know. Like I haven't looked at any statistics or anything, so maybe I'm not this time, which I'd be very surprised at. But I'm guessing I probably am. I think he's good, you know. He's only lost his to Aaron Pico, who's amazing. I just feel I'm better everywhere. It's like all in all MMA. He's a good wrestler, but if he takes us down, I feel I'm a lot better on the floor than him. I feel like I can take him down. I feel my boxing's better than his. I'm just going to be careful he doesn't kind of outwork us a bit, really. And careful don't get hit with it, because he looks athletic, he looks explosive, you know. So I'm just going to make sure I'm switching all the way through and make sure I'm not getting caught with any stupid shots.
100%. And one of the common trends that we've seen as well throughout your fights, you pretty much take whoever's offered to you. There's not really too much of picking and choosing who you want to face. So, but do you have after this fight any sort of idea of what you're wanting to face, or is it just a game you're happy to keep going and as long as you're progressing?
So it doesn't really matter now because I have an opponent, and I have an opponent I'm very happy with because he's, like you say, he's in the top 10 ranking. But before this fight, I just called out, well, I didn't call him, but I did make it vocal that I wanted 2 other people who were in the top 10. And the only reason for that is because they were both European, and I thought it might have made more sense because it was like Pedro Cavallo and Tiger Whitehall. Both very good guys as well, you know, and I was pushing for that, but then I got offered this Justin, which like I'm over the moon with that, you know. So I'm just trying to go for like logical people that could possibly fight. Like I say, now I've got Justin. I'm more than happy fighting Justin. I'm not really thinking about anything after this, really. I've got like there's nobody really who kind of floats my boat at this moment in time. There's just Justin, really, and I feel like my life only exists to the point of the 29th of October, and then anything after that, like
my life doesn't exist after that, so it doesn't really make a difference to us.
Yeah, and then just finally as well, just for myself, in terms of obviously, I've got to ask the question, in terms of the predictions for the fight and how you see it going, how do you see the fight playing out?
Just the same as normal, you know. I feel like I'm gonna have to be full pressure, and I'll be taking a lot of shots on the gloves and countering them and hitting them with my heavy backhand. I feel he will try to put me bum on the floor, and I'm going to make sure that I'm scuffing them. That's all my techniques I'm working on at the minute. And I feel like he might have a decent first round, but I feel after that, when he realizes I'm not going to go anywhere and I start actually finding a home for my shots, he'll start to realize that it's a bit different being in there with me than some of the other people he's been in there with, and I'll start to break them.
100%. And then that is everything from me. So if you just want to take a chance to shout any sponsors, James, anything like that, obviously just feel free to go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I always forget people, you know, if I start stuff, so I'd rather not. But just thanks to my fiancée, you know, she kind of pretty much does everything for us and makes everything so much easier. Where I just have to teach and train, you know, and she kind of does all the behind the scenes stuff and like all the important stuff. Really, that's it, really.
Yeah, well, that's no problem. So as always, I appreciate your time very much. So Bellator 287. Don't want to miss it. It'll be a great fight. Appreciate your time as always, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.